At age 7, Jean Wakatsuki is faced with a problem. She is Japanese American and Pearl Harbor has just been bombed by the Japanese. Her father, called Papa, is a fisherman and is going out to sea as the news comes out that Pearl Harbor has been bombed. All the fishermen returned to shore and later that evening destroyed any trace of Japanese loyalty that might make them seem disloyal to the United States. The FBI came for Papa 2 weeks later on charges of delivering oil to Japanese submarines offshore. He was suddenly a man with no rights who looked exactly like the enemy. After growing up in Ocean Park, where the Wakatsukis had been the only Japanese family, moving to Terminal Island, where many Japanese lived, made Jean feel like an outsider. Many of the people on Terminal Island were hateful to Jean and made her stay there dreadful. When the military was given control to define their areas, Jean and her family were forced to move, trying everything they could to keep the family together. Caucasians became hostile toward the Japanese and had nothing to do with them. After about a month, they were forced to move again, for the last time, to a place called Manzanar. The family arrives just in time for dinner, where they have sausage, string beans, and rice with apricots on top. They were issued army cots, 2 blankets, and some mattress covers. When the call came through camp for workers to alleviate the wartime labor shortage, it sounded better than their life at Manzanar. The living conditions at Manzanar were poor. They had sand come in through knotholes and cracks in the floor, which covered them while they were asleep. Cleaning up was a group effort, but the problems they faced and the resources they had to fix it were not equal. We can't live like this. Animals live like this. The shots and food made the younger kids sick. After eating the spoiled food, everyone had the Manzanar runs and hoped that a bathroom was open when they had to go. Without the bathrooms being partitioned, the women were constantly searching for privacy. But the entire situation there, especially in the beginning, the packed sleeping quarters, the communal mess halls, the open toilets, all this was an open insult to the other, private self, a slap in the face you were powerless to challenge. Family time is steadily dwindling down. The people at Manzanar are going out to try and find the best food. Things got so bad that families were being forced to eat together. Mama, the one person trying hardest to keep her family together, is constantly distracted, staring into space, or just ignoring everyone as if there is no one else there. Jean almost converted to the Catholic faith, but Papa arrives before she can and discourages from it. Papa was part of the samurai class in Japan and was used to being wealthy and part of the upper class. He was used to having lots of land, but when he goes to America, he has to start out with basically nothing. He had been spoiled when he grew up in Japan and had to earn everything by himself when he came to America. He never finished college because he met Mama. Papa went through multiple jobs including cooking, lumberjacking, dentistry, farming, and fishing. Papa is questioned about his background, his family, and his charges. The interviewer asks about his loyalty, if any, to Japan. The interview is turned around on the interviewer, who does not know how to react and answer his questions. Papa was released earlier than a lot of the other men were. People in the camp believed he is a spy for the government and a traitor who is hiding something since he locks himself inside for most or all of the day. The people at the mess halls are unhappy with the camp and hold frequent meetings. The security is increased after mobs go patrolling the streets. The people in charge of the riots ring the mess hall bells to try and make a point about their unfair treatment. The reservoir crew, located outside the camp to keep the water into camp clean and flowing, is confronted by a sergeant and his crew, slammed into the walls, and have to wait for 30 minutes for the clearance to prove that they're not rioters. A loyalty oath goes out for everyone to answer, even though however you answered it, you were going to get some kind of response of disloyalty. Woody decides to join the all-Japanese regiment that is being put together. Papa is fought for voicing his opinion. Papa goes back to the barracks after the sandstorm and cries when he sings the Japanese national anthem, and Jean just quietly watches, unsure how to react to Papa's behavior. The Wakatsukis have moved to a nicer barrack where there are apple trees growing. They grow the fruit to eat and Papa uses it to make liquor. The people of Manzanar are allowed to go outside the gates and the rules are less strict. People started doing various hobbies. A farm is built outside the walls. Everyone in the family has something that they are doing, from football to band, which most made it into the yearbook called Our World. Jean's schooling was one of the things she remembers most about when she was at Manzanar. Her teacher prepared her academically. Her glee club was one of her favorite things to do. Lois and Iseo took her on hikes. Jean did not want to stay outside her home for more than one night because she was afraid of what is out there. She tries out multiple times of dancing, but eventually goes back to learning about Catholicism. When she decides to get baptized, her father strongly disapproves and tells the Maryknoll no, it will not happen. When she got angry, she would twirl as if the baton were her father, and she was throwing him in the air. Jean's sister Eleanor is giving birth to her first child, and the family is worried because so many of the women have already died while giving birth. She has a boy, and Mama and Papa both cry out of relief and happiness. Papa and Mama are becoming close again. Several of the family members are moving out of the camp. Woody is drafted, and his regiment has to leave. A court case is passed and makes the people in the internment camps free to go. However, the Wakatsukis have no place to go. They wait until they are forced to move. Papa would not let them move to the East Coast because the West Coast was his home. Gradually, everything at Manzanar shuts down. The government pays for their way back to the West Coast. America wins the war by dropping the bomb on Hiroshima. Papa is sad because he is worried about his family. Woody finds his great aunt in Japan. She shows him his father's grave from when they thought he was dead after going to America. She takes good care of him, tells him he looks like his father, something he had never realized before. He then falls asleep, wanting to talk to his great aunt some more. Papa buys a car to get back to California. The car breaks down multiple times, and it takes them 3 days to get everything moved. Jean thinks that everyone is going to hate her. They move into a housing project and are delighted to have their own house with a bathroom. When Jean goes to school, she is not prepared for life away from Manzanar. The kids in the 6th grade class are surprised that Jean can speak English. Jean has a hard time making friends because of the parents being biased towards the Japanese Americans. Radine, however, is friends with Jean, best friends. She defends Jean. Jean becomes popular from twirling and is liked by the boys because of her early maturity. However, Papa tries to keep her body hidden from the boys and tries to teach her Japanese ways. Papa embarrasses her in front of her peers by performing a traditional Japanese bow. When Jean moves schools, Radiant is accepted in the clubs that she is not. They grow apart. Jean is not picked because of her ethnicity. Jean runs for Carnival Queen, and when she wins, Papa makes a deal with Jean to take alderite lessons in exchange for being Carnival Queen, and she accepts. She is nervous when she goes to give her speech, but she realizes that she is supported and follows through with her duty of Carnival Queen. Jean goes back to Manzanar with her husband and children. She married a Caucasian man, and he has to learn about Manzanar. As she walks around the camp, she recalls old memories of when she was there, and she hears the voices of the people there. A memorial was made there, and it was special to her because, along with the flagpole, but both of which symbolize the beginning and the end of camp. Jean's strongest memory, though, was of her father. The day he brought the car to take them back to California, the last day she remembered him being back to